Hey, how are you? How is everybody? Happy Friday. Okay, I'm sorry that I'm late. It's just that I am nervous. I'm extremely camera shy. So it takes me a minute to rev it up. But what I will say is that I do have good information. So I was like, I gotta do this. Okay. But I am going to keep it short and sweet. It's been almost a year, so I'm going to focus on what it is and then think about everything later. Okay? Okay. So, thank you for coming to People in Politics. I'm Christina Lisa Brown. If you like the show or you want to see the show, don't forget to hit the link where you get the notifications, the bell, and you can always cash at me at CEB is me, Christina Lisa Brown. Yeah, go ahead and go from there. So tonight's show is about the Second Amendment. Last time we left off on the First Amendment, right? Go ahead and watch that. This time we're doing the Second Amendment, which is crazy because there was another school shooting. It was terrible. And it's terrible that that's the world that we live in nowadays, right? And it does affect all of us. You know, my daughter does not go to regular high school anymore because it's just a lot of factors. But that is something that makes me okay with everything, is that at least I know she's safe. It's to the best that I can keep her. And that's what things are coming down to with the school shootings. It's terrible. It's terrible. Okay. So the Second Amendment, it says at theconstitution.congress.gov, the Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. These rights shall not be infringed. Okay? So that's what the Second Amendment is. It is the right to have a well-regulated militia, the right to being necessary to the security of a free state, and the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Okay? And these rights shall not be infringed on, meaning they will not be moved, shifted, changed, messed with, modified, reformed, none of that. It just is what it is. Okay? So what is a militia? Okay? At the Merriam-Webster Dictionary says a militia is a part of the organized armed forces of a country liable to call only in emergency. Okay? A body of citizens organized for military service. So that in the military, they can have militias. This is a new addition to the definition because of court cases, that a militia is the whole body of an able-bodied male citizens declared by law as being subject to call to military service. Okay? So being the whole body or organization of able-bodied men that are citizens declared by law, okay, as a militia. A private group of armed individuals that operates as a paramilitary force, and it's typically motivated by a political or religious ideology. And specifically, such a group that aims to defend individual rights against government authority that is perceived as oppressive. So that is generally what the militias nowadays base themselves on, is that they are protecting their individual rights, the right to bear arms. And the right to bear arms is the right to have some type of defense of your body, your property, and your land, right? And be able to defend yourself. So that is the thing I was actually just thinking about while I was waiting was militias only cover really the Second Amendment rights or the First Amendment rights, right? Freedom of speech, because they like freedom of hate for sure. But they don't really be like out there with their guns on like women's rights, out there with their, protests for other people's rights. It's really their rights. And, being a minority, you wonder, right? I wonder. So how many militias are there? Okay, so I read earlier that in 1996, there was like 446 militias, okay? But that's not the case anymore. Okay, 1996 is a long time ago. So the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, identified 52 active militias in 2023 in the United States, which was a decline of the 61, which is not a major decline really, 61 from 2022. And it states that this is a fallout that stems from January 6th and the insurrection, and how more than 1,200 people faced charges for their actions, and over 80 of them were members of identified anti-government organizations and said to be motivated by the movement's conspiracies, which some of these militias are conspiracy-led, right? So, yes. So the Second Amendment, again, if you're a well-regulated militia. Now, I was actually in a debate earlier about how the government would grant you or would identify you as well-regulated. And so, obviously, there's other militias that are not identified or labeled or acknowledged. And so would they still be considered a militia? And so we were saying like, gangs militias, right? Because it's a group of able-bodied men who are maybe anti-government or something. So it was an interesting conversation about that, because we had to focus on the right to bear arms, and that you have to be able to protect yourself, and that in the need of protesting the government, you would be able to group together, right? And become this militia that the government would then need to identify and acknowledge you as a militia. So to start it off, you have to have a gun anyways, a weapon anyways. And I'm not against guns necessarily. I'm for gun control and gun regulation. And with that, in the right to bear arms, it says in the amendment of the Second Amendment, I think it says 1.4, it brings up a case where the terms some guns and weapons are considered illegal if they are considered dangerous and unusual. Okay? Dangerous and unusual. So that is the loophole. And that's what I was discussing earlier, is that that's the loophole that we have to fight against these automatic weapons and assault rifles, because they are not only dangerous, but it is unusual to say that you are in the moment of self-defense and you need to have an automatic, semi-automatic weapon, or you don't need that for hunting either. There are other things. The cowboys had pistols, So I consider myself an all-American cowboy. So that's why I'm like, you don't need such an extreme, hazardous, dangerous weapon. And it is unusual to have a weapon of war walking around hometown, at the buffet. Like, that don't make no sense. Who puts down a big old assault weapon at the kitchen table? That's a war weapon. So I was saying it's very unusual to have such an extreme weapon that they use in war, and you feel that you need that. There's other ways to protect yourself and defend yourself, other weapons, besides mass destruction weapons. So my family member that I was debating said, he's actually the one that said that the term unusual is debatable, because people around you might not know what they're doing. And so when they see you, what you're doing, they might consider it unusual, right? And so the example that he gave was that you go to a park where people work out and you're doing a workout that football players do, right? So everyone around you thinks that what you're doing is odd. Your workout is odd and it seems unusual, but they don't understand and they don't know that you're doing a specific type of workout, right? So that was his explanation of how unusual can be misinterpreted and weapons can be misunderstood by people who don't understand the weapon. So, but my rebuttal, of course, was that actually when it says with the exception of dangerous and unusual weapons, that it actually is saying that you go to the park to work out, right? With all these other people who work out. They know you, you know them, okay? But instead, you go with football gear on, right? Or you go with a football and you're doing football plays and you have this football pads on and you're pretending to be a football player and you're saying that this is my workout because I'm a football player, right? That's unusual because everybody knows that you're not a football player. You're not a football player, but you're at the park pretending to be a football player. That would be considered unusual, right? It's not about the workout because, again, it's not about the protecting of yourself. It is about the unusual environment that you would bring such activities to. It's an extreme, right? It's definitely would be considered an extreme. So I think that weapons of war should not be readily available. I feel, and you know what? This is where some people, okay, they're like, well, you got to be able to go against the government, right? What if one day the government wants to come smash on you and you need to be able to defend yourself against the government, right? But come on now. Come on now. Like, it really don't even matter how many people are in your little militia, right? Which they said on average is about 20 men. Okay, 20 men armed to the teeth, okay, in a house, right? Look at what happened at Waco, right? The government has too much technology. The government has too much high warfare, biochemical, the weaponry is ridiculous, okay? You know you don't got all the weapons that they have. It's just like, I think it's just such a bad argument to say, well, one day we might have to go against the government. And then the thing it goes back to, going against the government for what? And it's supposed to be about infringing on rights, but then it goes back to infringing on whose rights? Because you only willing to kill people when you think that they're taking away your rights. You're not out here like Superman trying to protect everybody. You're only out here trying to protect maybe your couple of acres so you can be racist, hateful, murderous, terrorizing, rapist, misogynist. You know what I'm saying? So all that, that's the rights that's really, we already know. They want their rights protected so that they can hate, murder, steal, kill, destroy other people. They want the right to do that. They don't want other people to have their rights. Yeah, but so great. I don't want to go there. Okay. So that's the point. The Second Amendment in the Constitution, it's about being able, the right to bear arms, which is your body, your property, your land, being able to build a well-regulated militia, which in the definitions further on, the word organized comes together a lot. So you need to be aware of that. And being necessary to have the security of a free state, okay? To live in a democracy, being free to live in a free democracy. That's what it's about. With the exception of dangerous and unusual weapons. Okay, those are no-nos. And that's where the debate goes about the weapons that are out there nowadays. Okay? So the person in politics I'm pulling my ear. I guess it feels good when you like pull your ear. Okay. The person in politics, as well as the topic for tonight. Okay. And the reason why I wanted to just jump in on it real quick is because I'm so tired of seeing the debate about it. The game is on now. The politics, the campaign, the voting is crack-a-lacking in a couple of months. So it's time that we start like clearing the air up on this and just get over it, move on from this topic, okay? Because the Republicans do understand the issue with the Black community and they twist it and use it against you, okay? And so we all need to understand what this is about. Tonight, the person of interest, person of politics, and the topic is that the Vice President, Kamala Harris, hopefully the soon-to-be president next year, Kamala Harris, that Kamala Harris is, and she is not Black. Okay? Did you hear me? I know, it's super hard to grasp this, okay? Kamala Harris is, and she is not Black. And that's why people keep dividing themselves, and it's so gray. It's not a black and white issue, okay? They're so gray that we got to understand this gray, okay? Gray matter. Grays matter, okay? Now, let's go to this. Kamala is Black. How is she Black? Because she's in the Black diaspora, okay? Everybody says it. We all know it. If you look at her, she's Black. Wherever you go in the world, she's Black. She's Black girl, Black girl, Black girl, Black woman, right? In the Black diaspora, okay, everybody's involved in the Black diaspora, okay? It doesn't matter what country you're in. If you're considered Black, you're considered in the diaspora, Black diaspora. It doesn't matter where you're from, okay? You're Black, you're in the diaspora, right? What is the meaning of diaspora? Okay. At the liberal arts, I'm sorry, I missed it. Yeah, at the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, Centers and Institutes, the definition of diaspora is a dispersion of people, language, or culture that was formerly concentrated in one place to scatter, to displace, to live in separated communities, okay? Definition for the African and Black diaspora is the African diaspora is the voluntary and involuntary movements of Africans and their descendants to various parts of the world during the modern and pre-modern periods, okay? So that is the migration of Africans, okay, going on now, modern, and back in the day, however far as you want to take it, okay? That's the Black diaspora, the scattering of the Africans over time in all these different countries, because we already know Black is everywhere. Black is in every country with a long history, okay? So that's the diaspora. But, okay, she's not Black American, okay? And the reason why people have a hard time understanding if you're not Black American, see, I am Black American. And I understand, okay, that, yeah, they're like, oh, well, she's Black. You know what I'm saying? But people in the Black community, Black American community, like, she's not Black American. She doesn't have the same connection, the same history, or the same culture. Okay, she's in the Black diaspora, meaning on a global level, okay, that we are all accepted to be a part of the Black community. But in America, when we are forced to live under a Black and white society, okay, all these people under the Black umbrella, under this Black diaspora, they all have different cultures, okay? The same way, right? I want to make sure that I wrote this down, but I did write it down. the same way that white Americans, okay, have Italian Americans, Irish Americans, Cuban Americans now, Hispanic Americans now. You know what I mean? White Americans have all kinds of people under their American diaspora. Where if they were to go to another country and did not identify as American, they would say I'm Italian or I'm Greek or I'm Portuguese or British type of thing. But in America, if you're white, you're considered white. And if you're black, you're considered black. But we know and they know that they all come from different type of cultures, and all these cultures have different types of history. Okay? Now, the thing about white immigration in America is that it helps white Americans who are rooted in white American history. It helps them with their white replacement fear. Okay? Their white replacement numbers. That's why when they feel that their numbers are dwindling, all of a sudden, the Italians became white, and the Irish became white, and the Scottish became white, and the Cubans became white. Now there's so many Hispanics that consider themselves white. And if you look at Kamala Harris's birth certificate, her mother, who is Indian, right, recognized and identified as Indian, she put Caucasian on her birth certificate. So she's white. Right? So in America, under the American white supremacy idealization of race, the race construct that America's made black and white, Kamala is a black and white girl. She's a black and white girl, right? And raised as such. But the thing is that foundational Black Americans, okay? Black Americans are the descendants of the Black people who survived one of the greatest atrocities in recorded history, American slavery. Foundational Black Americans are the descendants of the Black people who built the United States from scratch, right? So that is specifically what Black American, the race, the culture would be defined as, okay? Black Americans don't have a Haiti or Jamaica or a Caribbean or a Nigeria, Liberia, or a Cape Cod. We don't have none of those origins, and we don't have no connection to nowhere except America, and they said you was Black. We already know that that's a more recent term used to identify Black Americans, okay? And as soon as you stepped on here, if you look Black, you became Black. You were no longer Jamaican or Haitian, all that stuff. That's how the creation of the Black diaspora happened, okay? But when it comes to culture and history, we have to admit and acknowledge there is a different connection, okay? There is a different emotional investment that you have tied to your home country, okay? And with that simply is just the history. Okay, and this is my example. This is my example that I've been giving lately. Okay, in 1805, what was going on in Jamaica, right? The British recaptured the island in 1783. The French, coming that time from Guadeloupe, failed to again retake the island in 1795. The French made a final assault on Jamaica in 1805, and although they burned the capital, Rousseau, they were forced to withdraw. That's at the Britannica.com, History of Jamaica. Okay? That's what was happening in Jamaica, 1805. In Haiti, right? Haiti, May 20th, 1805, Dessalines ratifies Haiti's first constitution. Haiti got their first constitution in 1805 to strengthen national unity and bring together the country's various factions. The Constitution proclaims all Haitians Black. Okay? The Constitution also legitimizes Dessalines' regime, legalizing structures set in place since independence. The Constitution reaffirms the permanent abolition of slavery, that all Haitians are free and equal, and above all, Haitians' inalienable rights to own to the right to land ownership. This is in HaitianRevolution.com. 1805. In Haiti, they wrote their first constitution. Okay? In America, what were Black people, Black Americans, specifically Black Americans doing? Key points about Black Americans in 1805. And this comes from alderlerman.org, Gilder Lerman Institute of American History. That's the name of the place. Statista.com, history.com. Okay. Key points about Black Americans in 1805. Slavery was still prevalent. So in Haiti, they were saying that all slaves or all Haitians were free, while in America, slavery was still prevalent. The majority of Black people in the United States were enslaved, particularly in the southern states where the economy heavily relied on slave labor for crops like cotton. The abolition movement was gaining momentum. While still relatively small, voices against slavery were growing, with figures like William Lloyd Garrison beginning to publish anti-slavery materials. Injured Humanity Broadside. A significant document called Injured Humanity was circulated in 1805 to raise awareness about the harsh realities of slavery by depicting the brutal treatment of enslaved people. Okay? So it's not, I think it is what it is, what it is. Okay? Black Americans were indoctrinated and brutalized for hundreds of years to the point that they didn't have a connection to any other country, but also they wound up creating their own culture. Their own culture. Black Americans have a history unlike any other country, any other Black people in the Black diaspora. Okay? And that's something to just identify. Okay? Why is it okay for white people, right? Jersey Shore, white people who are proud to be Italian all the time. Why is that okay? And we know they're white, but we also know they're Italian. And the thing about Jamaicans, I love Jamaicans. Yeah, I'm in Southern California. I love me some Jamaicans. There's 2-3 Jamaican spots I go to faithfully. I got Jamaican neighbors, Jamaican friends, right? Jamaican is cool. And they're very proud people. Yes, with their own cuisine, their own language, their own lingo, their own pride in their men, pride in their women, pride in their dance, pride in their culture, pride in their history. They know they're Black. We all know they're Black. And the reason why I brought up Haitian is because I have friends and family that are Haitian. And so I've been eating Haitian food, right? And I see it the same way when Black people, we have our family get-togethers. We have our insistence on foods like collard greens, cornbread, fried chicken, smothered chicken, certain things that are like Mando for our table. Jamaicans got that. Haitians got that. Liberians got that. I've eaten with Nigerians. You know what I'm saying? They eat in different ways, right? Yes, honey. He was Liberian. And all of the food, the rice and the meat and stuff was in one bowl. And I think we had like maybe 1 or 2 spoons. Not sure. But we just passed the bowl around. Yeah. Black Americans don't eat like that. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. So, please, let's just stop with the confusion. Stop with the confusion. Okay? Kamala Harris is Black. She's very much a part of the Black diaspora, okay? But she's not Black American. And Black Americans need to really, really get a grasp on this, that it says Black people in America, that the Black diaspora in America is 13-14% of the national population. Now, 13, 14%, that's not Black American, that's Black diaspora. Okay? So we need to understand our voices are very, very low in numbers. And we keep pushing this issue that she's not Black, and it makes all of us look crazy. Okay? This is our issue in our community that we know. Okay? And the reason why we're so upset and screaming about it to other people is because Black Americans are worried about the lack of Black American representation in government and politics. We are. It is what it is. Because, like I said, with the white replacement theory, okay, immigrants coming in that look white and assimilate to white Americans, white supremacist, white American society, okay, their numbers stay the majority, which eases white fear of white replacement. But as that's going with immigration, Black immigration from the diaspora comes in, assimilate to white supremacist, white superiority culture, and they don't represent Black Americans who feel generationally more invested. Because look at the people with the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre, the bombing, okay? The last two there's gonna be ancestors, good Lord, they're like almost 100, right? The last two survivors of that, they were still fighting for restitution and reparations for that, and still denied. And Black Americans just don't want to see Black diaspora people working in government, working in politics, saying that the Black agenda, Black priorities, that Black issues are not a priority, and that it's self-inflicted, right? And deserved. That's basically it. That's basically it. And reparations is the number one thing. Reparations is the number one thing, right? Because I honestly don't know if Kamala Harris is dying, living, breathing, dying for the day that Black Americans get reparations. Her father is from Jamaica. Come on now. That's what it is. That's what it is. Black Americans are scared and tired and get very angry about the helplessness, about the hopelessness of getting real Black American representation in government and politics. Okay, because the few that get in there, they sell out, right? 1 or 2 or 3. And then the other ones, yes, they're Black in the diaspora, but they're not Black American. They come from other places. Their family, their lineage comes from other places. And lineage is a word that is used in the Black community because it means so much to us to be connected to our ancestors. Right? So that's what I want to leave the note on. I hope you learned a thing or two about a thing or two. Okay? Kamala Harris is Black, but she's not Black American. Okay? She's Jamaican and Indian American. But if you want to just keep it like surface level, she's Black and white. She's a Black and white girl. That's basically what we're saying her birth certificate says. When her mom wrote Caucasian, her dad wrote Jamaican, Black and white. So like, let's just get over that, because Kamala Harris is the better candidate than Trump. Lord have the mercy. Hands down, I don't even gotta like her. You don't have to like somebody to like see who they are and acknowledge who they are and what they do and what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't be like such a hater. Don't be such a hater that you become ignorant, okay? Because that's what it is. It's just like this willful ignorance. And come on now. Yeah, I'll save my comments on that for another day, because we all definitely have to know that Kamala as a presidential candidate is better than Donald Trump. Come on now. And it don't matter what race any of them are, really, really. just get on the politics page, okay? The politics page. And save all that, whether she's black, white, Indian, Jamaican, all that conversation is just barbershop talk. Okay? Barbershop talk. Okay. So have a great day. Have a great night. Get some rest. Gee willikers. I need to work on my nerves and my camera shyness. I need to work on it. Happy Friday, you guys. Happy Friday. Yes, in this train.